Hi, this is Adam Schefter from ESPN. Please join us on the latest Know Them From Adam podcast with Dwight Howard as he talks about Kobe Bryant, James Harden, and the one young NBA player he'd pay to see.
Dan Le Batard.
This is basically how this conversation is going. Hey, no Hispanic managers in baseball. Believe you, I'm not racist. Okay, good talk.
Stugotz.
Talk about something else. I know that's factually accurate, but that's wrong. You're wrong. It's wrong.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show, like Dominique Wilkins, appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And now your SportsCenter update. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Antonio Brown have officially begun the process of negotiating a new contract. He has 1 year left on a 5-year, $42 million contract he signed in 2012. North Carolina State head basketball coach Mark Gottfried will be fired at the end of the season. And finally, Kanye West is reportedly recovering from memory loss. For all the best headlines and information, tune into SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Okay.
That explains a lot. I was worried about him for a while.
Yes, that does. It explains everything, really, doesn't it?
I heard he deleted a lot of those tweets going a while back.
Right.
His Trump-supporting tweets. He's
doesn't remember them.
It's a good place to fall back on because no one can call you on that.
Yep. Dominique Wilkins is judging the Verizon Slam Dunk Contest this Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern on TNT, and he joins us right now on ESPN Radio. Dominique, how you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
We're doing well. We were just having a discussion before you came on. Now, our producer, television producer, Lorenzo, sent us video footage of Dr. J dunking at the age of 63. Now, he's struggling to dunk, Dominique, I have to be honest with you, but he is dunking. And we were debating whether or not you could still dunk. And before you answer that, because I'm certain that you can, I think that you can. The reason we were discussing this is because I came up with the idea. I want there to be a Legends dunk contest where if I give you and Michael and some other guys a year to really get in shape and train, you guys come back and do a dunk contest next year. I think it would be a ratings monster. I think people would love to see it. Dominique, I think you'd love to do it. But let's start here. Can you dunk right now? Can you dunk? If I handed you a basketball, regulation-size basket, can Dominique Wilkins get up and dunk right now?
Absolutely. No question.
There you go.
Today,
right now. But like, would it be a standard two-handed dunk, or can you do like a windmill or something? Like things you did back in like 88. Can you still do some of those?
No way.
All right.
It's one of those fingertip dunks.
Okay, one of the fingertip. But what if I told you could train for a year? If you train for a year, could you do any of the dunks you did back in like 88, 85, 88, 87, 86?
I can do it right now, and Michael, if you put it down to 9 feet. No problem.
Okay.
Done.
We can make it happen today.
Done. Do you like this idea, don't you?
Yeah. You lower it to 9 feet, man, we can do some creative things.
Oh, my God.
See, we're on to something. We can make this happen right now. Do you think Michael could still dunk on a 10-foot hoop right now? I know you can. You're a bit taller than him. Do you think Michael could dunk on a 10-foot hoop still?
Oh, yeah. I think so, yes. Yes.
Wow. Because these guys, Dominique, the guys, our producers, they were saying they didn't think that you could dunk. I'm not throwing them under the bus. They didn't think you could dunk. They didn't think you could dunk, and I told them that you could dunk. Dominique
will ask them how much money they got.
The records show that I had a lot more faith in Dominique than Michael Jordan.
He did. Mike, yes, our producer did have a lot more faith in you than Michael, because he feels like you keep yourself in better shape.
Well, you know what? I think we all, to a certain point, we keep ourselves in pretty good shape. But again, if you're not working out, those things are very difficult.
Right.
If you hadn't had any type of, workout. So, but, we stay in pretty good decent shape.
So a Legends dunk contest, 9-foot basket, you and Michael. Oh, my God. Dominique. I mean, come on. Dominique, revenge. Revenge, because he robbed you. He robbed you, Dominique, back in 88. You know that. You were robbed, Dominique.
You know what? But the fans got their money's worth. And that's why this year's Verizon Slam Dunk Contest is so special, because, you have guys that people don't even know who they are, in a sense. And they're being selected to be in this contest. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to it, especially with DeAndre Jordan, who's the first big man since the Dwight Howard to be in. And so, I'm looking to see what his creativity is. And I'm also looking forward to fans of really, getting more involved in the dunk contest. And I think the biggest thing is that you get a chance to see guys that you don't normally see throughout the year on a big stage.
You're good, man. I mean, you took my question, and you just weaved it right into the promotion for this year's dunk contest. Dominique, that was good.
Well done.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
a lot of practice.
Yes, because I don't know one of the 4 guys that is participating. He's on Phoenix or something. I have no idea who he is. I have no idea.
Well, the great thing about it, that fans with Verizon Unlimited data plans can tune into the NBA and get all the content that you need for free on HD all weekend long. So this is a great opportunity for people to really get involved in the Verizon Slam Dunk contest this year. So we want people to definitely tune in.
He's got the talking points down. It's incredible.
It is amazing.
You cannot defeat him.
I am more impressed now than I was in the 86 dunk contest. I swear to you. That's the one you won. That's the one that you beat Jordan. Then you took 87 off and you had the rematch in 88 and you were robbed. But I am more impressed with you right now and how you promote the Verizon and the dunk contest and the whole weekend than I was at any point in your career, Dominique. Yes, you didn't answer it at all. You just promoted the dunk contest. It was fantastic.
Well, that's radio at its best.
Yeah.
The Verizon people have to be standing and applauding in their building.
That's why they hired him. It's tremendous. Dominique, do you have? I've always wondered this. Do you have is there a single dunk? You had so many great dunks. You were so much. It was so much fun watching you. For me, it was so much fun watching you as a kid growing up. Do you have a dunk that you are proudest of? Because you had so many great ones. I'm wondering, is there one that stands out for you?
You know what? It's in-game dunks. It's not really, for me, dunk contest dunks. That's my favorite. It's the in-game dunks on guys. It was my favorite. Be it, against Boston or Milwaukee when baseline against Bob Lanier. Mm-hmm. And Bob Lanier, we talk about this to this day, and he said, "My kids hate you." He didn't speak to me for 9 years after that dunk. He said, "But now my grandkids hate you now." That's how long it's been.
Wait, can you take us through that dunk? So it was an in-game dunk. Because when I think of in-game dunks, I think of the one Jordan baseline on Patrick Ewing at Madison Square Garden, which was fantastic. Can you walk us through the dunk on Lanier? Do you remember it?
Well, yeah. What happened? It was at the end of the game, and they threw it to me on the box, and I went to my right to the middle, and I got cut off where the teams collapsed on me. And I went back to the baseline and jumped. And I remember turning in the air, and Bob Lanier covered the basket. And as he was coming down, I was still going up. And I dunked on him on the buzzer. And I remember he stumbled, and he watched me all the way down the court. And after that, for 9 years, he didn't speak to me after that dunk. That's true story. True story.
So ferocious, he didn't speak to you for 9 years. So embarrassing.
9 years.
It's incredible. Is there one guy? Who would you say is the biggest name that you ever dunked on? Like the other guy that you consider on your level of star power that you dunked on?
I mean, in that age, a lot of guys. Bird, Ewing. Man, there's a lot of guys. I mean, Kareem. I mean, it's been some guys.
Dominique, I'm watching the video right now. You and Lanier, I am watching it right now. You pumped. There's a pump there. You stayed up a lot longer in the air than he did. I am watching it right now. I'm surprised he's spoken to you ever again, to be honest with you. It's so embarrassing. It's so bad. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that it took 9 years for him to talk to you again. I'm surprised that he ever spoke to you again, period.
We talked about it yesterday. He said how his kids hated me. After he said, "How you can let that little skinny kid do that to you?" And many years later, he said, "Now my grandkids hate you." He said, "So this is a tradition in my family now."
If we gave you a 9-foot hoop and him again right now, could you recreate that?
No, I got a bad knee.
Bad knee. Okay.
I can't do all that twisting and turning now. If I can go straight ahead, I'm good.
How often do you think about that 88 dunk contest? For people in the audience who don't know, back in the 80s, it was legendary, and there's a lot of young people in the audience, Dominique, so just give me a second here because they're unaware of this. 1986, maybe the greatest dunk contest of all time, was Jordan and Dominique Wilkins, And Dominique won that one. 87, I think Jordan was hurt. Yeah, 87, Jordan was hurt. Then 88, they had the rematch, and you could certainly make the claim that Dominique won. Jordan ended up winning it. So Jordan got one, Dominique got one. I'm wondering how often, so you won 86, he won 88, and the 88 one is the one that people claim that you get robbed. How often do you think about the 88 dunk contest?
Well, people never let me forget it. But it shows you how relevant and how big it was.
Yes.
That they're talking about it over 26, 27 years later. That's how big it was.
Have you spoken to Jordan about it since?
We talk. We never talk about it. The dunk contest. We have other things we talk about because we knew what we brought to the table. At the end of the day, the fans got the money's worth.
Yeah, they most certainly did. Dominique Wilkins with us here on ESPN Radio. Again, Dominique will be judging the Verizon Slam Dunk Contest this Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern on TNT. I have to think, that's a hard thing for you to judge because you're really judging them against yourself, right?
Well, you got to be a little bit more compassionate, when you're watching these guys, and you got to give them the benefit of doubt. You also have to, again, you have to be willing to look past yourself. You can't use yourself as a measuring stick. You got to look at what creativity these guys have, and you got to give them credit for that. You can't compare yourself.
So basically what you're saying is you have to remember that none of these guys are as good as you.
Right. Did you hear that? The compassion part, right? You have compassion.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, yeah, come on. They're not, Dominique.
I didn't say that. But you know what? Again, everybody's different. Every era is different. So you got to give each person or each era their own credit. Their own creativity. And I think what these guys are going to do is try to show us that they can be relevant and they can be creative. We already know what Gordon's going to bring.
Right.
The other guys are unknown, so it's going to be something that's very anticipated tomorrow night.
Dominique Wilkins with us. I'll let you go on this. And again, the dunk contest tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern on TNT. Dominique will be judging the Verizon Slam Dunk Contest. We had Kevin McHale on early this week, and he told a great Larry Bird story. And I'm wondering, Dominique, because growing up in the 80s, 90s, you had so many great matchups against Larry Bird, against those Celtic teams, playoff matchups, regular season matchups. Do you have a good story for us about Larry Bird? Larry Bird being a competitor, being a cocky competitor, being great at the game of basketball.
He was a fierce competitor, almost like he was possessed. That's how competitive he was. And I don't think you ever see a competitor like that, not like that, ever again. He was, if you didn't come ready to play, that you got embarrassed. I remember when Kevin McHale got 57, I forgot who he had it against, and the next game was against Atlanta, and Bird said to McHale, I'm going to break your record against Atlanta. And I'm like, oh, no, not against us. Right. Well, he was right. He got 60 that next game.
Most competitive guy you played against, more so than Michael even?
Yeah. Well, no, they were competitive in different ways. Right. Michael is probably the most competitive guy I've ever witnessed, ever. But they had different type of competitiveness, in their own special way. Magic was different. Jordan was different. Bird was different. I was different. All of us had that competitive edge, but it was in different ways.
All right, Dominique's going to be judging the Verizon Slam Dunk Contest this Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern on TNT. Dominique, this is how, first off, we appreciate the time. This was very enjoyable for both of us. I'm telling you, this is how it's going to work, okay? People are going to steal the idea we just discussed on the radio. They're going to come to you with this Legends Contest 9-foot rim, and I'm telling you, don't sign any papers, don't agree to anything until you and I talk, okay? Because it's my idea, and I don't want anyone stealing it, all right?
I got you, buddy.
All right, thank you. I know you got me, and I got you.
All right, man.
All right, Dominique. Enjoy the weekend, man.
Give me more of the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio. Dan Le Batard.
What are you up to these days, Dominique? You're broadcasting for the Hawks, right?
Stugotz.
No, I'm vice president of basketball of the Hawks, part owner.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
fighting over rings. Won't be the king, but long live the chief. For a little old thing.
If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan Le Batard Show on demand in the ESPN app, plus our Miami-only hour that airs before the show. And now you can subscribe to our Best Of podcast. It's all available on the Listen tab of the ESPN app. The Dan Le Batard Show is brought to you by Upside. Now save big on travel and get a big gift card every trip you buy. You'll love Upside.com. That's Upside.com.
Texts are all over the place. They don't like when the show construct is broken up. Dan is off today. Gojo's in. I don't know what to tell you. And I'm reading this text only because he sounds so shocked. Stugotz has actually put together a good show today. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with Gojo, the steak sauce, Mike Golic, and Dominique Wilkins, and the shipping container. I did nothing. Has nothing to do with me. Someone says Dominique was boring. I don't care. Go to hell. Go away.
Okay.
And don't come back.
Okay.
Because that wasn't boring.
All right, George Lopez.
Listen, I'm not Le Batard. I am not Dan Le Batard. He's the greatest for me, for my money, and maybe I'm biased because I sit next to him and he's my boss. But for my money, there is no one.
Quite literally, for your money.
Yes. Doing better interviews in sports media than Le Batard. I think Howard's the best ever, Stern. And Dan's a close second. But what you just heard with Dominique, for me, for my standards, that's the best I can do. So what I don't need on the back end of it is that was boring. Go to hell. Don't come back. And when you're there, say hi to Art Briles. And you might see Paterno there. I don't know. And eventually Sandusky going to be there. All of them.
Multiple Sanduskys.
Yes. Hence all of them. Am I not allowed to say that word on air, Mike?
I'm just going to bypass saying hello to them on my way there.
Yeah.
I think
That is true.
it's already bad enough.
Yeah. You'll have other things in your mind, I
You'll
guess.
probably see Phillip Rivers on the way down in that purgatory, right? Because he's
Orchestrating a final drive down to 4. What'd you do to get in here? Drafted by the Chargers.
You just see Phillip Rivers throwing a back-breaking interception inside the red zone. Dadgummit.
We're gonna have Adnan Virk. Show gets better, man. Adnan Virk at 12:30 in about 8 minutes. We only do this when Dan is off. I think that hurts Adnan's feelings, but we only do this when Dan is off. Golic and I do it on Sundays, weekend observation, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Yeah.
We do a segment, it's odd, a segment with Adnan where you can call in and you can ask him about movies, baseball, and Canada, and that's it. Those are the only 3 topics you can discuss with Adnan. It's an odd segment, but an enjoyable segment. It's your favorite segment, isn't it, Gojo?
By far.
Yes.
Adnan, to me, is such a phenomenal cross-section of a bunch of different things.
Yes.
Because we go movies, Canada, and baseball. You could easily do hockey with Adnan. You can do a bunch of different things that maybe at this network on all different times aren't always, we're not a big... Did anyone else hear that, by the way?
Yeah, we all heard it.
I heard
Who
Poppy.
was that?
That was Poppy screaming, "I smell pizza."
I was wondering if I was hearing that in my headphones. I was like...
He is the best. He is the absolute best.
Poppy's still the only person I've ever been starstruck to meet.
You just met him. That wasn't the first time you met him, though,
The
right?
last time I was down here filling in, I met Poppy, and I remember shaking his hand and just having no idea what to say.
Here he is, the legend.
I smell pizza.
No!
Oh, CC. Very intrigued.
He is the absolute best. Oh, my God.
It's a legend.
All right, so we're going to have Adnan on. He'll take your phone calls. It's 786-456-4837. Again, the number for Adnan is 786-456-4837. Baseball questions, movie questions, and Canada questions. We do that with Adnan Virk next on ESPN Radio.
Give me more of the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio. Dan Le Batard.
It's rare that you see an acting performance and are like, whoa, that's a lot better than a lot of people could have done.
But you think if Daniel Day-Lewis plays the role of Fox Mulder, it's going to be as successful?
Like, yes, I think it would be even better. Because
you're wrong.
They're right. Okay, thank you.
Stugotz.
Yet again, Stugotz's perspectivelessitis making an appearance. The only one who could have done that is the guy who did it.
So Christoph Waltz could have played Rocky? You lose.
Did you really just walk off here with your flip-flops and turn your back to me?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show, like Adnan Virk, appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And now your SportsCenter update. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Antonio Brown have officially begun the process of negotiating a new contract. He has 1 year left on a 5-year, $42 million contract signed in 2012. North Carolina State head basketball coach Mark Gottfried will be fired at the end of the season. And finally, a single mother in Utah wanted her son to feel comfortable at Dads and Donuts Day at a school event on Wednesday, so she dressed in drag to come as her son's father for the day. For all the latest headlines and information, tune into SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Mike, what happened there? Why'd you give me that look?
That's a cute story. Did you hear that story?
Yeah, it was a cutesy-wootsy story, no doubt about it. It was.
Heartwarming.
Yeah, it was. Adnan Virk joins us right now. Movies, baseball, Canada questions. Lines are just jam right now. Everyone loves this segment. Adnan, are you upset that we only do this when Dan's not here? I feel like it hurts your feelings. I do.
I tuned in at 12:15, Stugotz, because I believe that was the text you sent me. That's what I was going to be on.
Right.
So I had this terrifying feeling when I was watching you guys in ESPN 2 where it's coming up, and I see my ugly face, and I said, why isn't the phone ringing? Am I having an out-of-body experience? Have I already missed the opportunity? And then I heard you say that, and I started laughing, and I immediately tweeted, you can remove the I think. It definitely does hurt my feelings that you guys only do this, but Dan isn't here. But you know what? I'm thrilled to be a part of any show when it's with you guys. You guys know that.
Well, Adnan, you'd be happy to know that I was planning on having you on as we were leading up to the Oscars, and I was going to force you upon Dan. However, Stugotz wanted to use up one of your appearances here, and I think it would be too soon. So enjoy your interview with Stu and Go, Jay.
Yes, exactly. So, Dan,
I appreciate that. I have to give some love, by the way, to Roy, because, I'm finding out more and more about all of you. So Mike Ryan is now teaching me about the music, which I have a definite deficit with regards to. And Roy's tweets are fantastic. A lot of great political tweets. He definitely goes at people. And I love the Florida Panthers talk. He's a big hockey fan. There was a Scott Mellenby tweet the other day. So I love what everyone's bringing to the table. Once I figure out what Guillermo's bringing, I'm going to be really ready to roll.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Guillermo, now you got Guillermo all fired up.
Furious.
I mean, he is furious with you. But at least, listen.
Chris didn't even get a mention.
Yeah, well, he doesn't know who Chris is. But here's the thing.
Chris, too, for the record. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Fat Chris. But here's the thing. You can go to sleep tonight knowing that Le Batard was receptive to having you on, okay? If that makes you feel any better. He was receptive to it.
Okay, that is actually does relax me a little bit, because we were at the point that I was going to start texting you saying, listen, does he not like me? Because, listen, I will get people who like me to vouch for me to Le Batard. Like, Shambi's my guy. Like, Kirkchin's my guy. Rosillo's my guy. They can all tell Dan, hey, listen, no, Virk's all right, man. Like, maybe he's not your cup of tea, but he's a big fan of yours. So I want to placate me.
I want to break news to you right now, and I'm going to do this in a very delicate way, okay?
Oh, God.
He does not care what Rosillo thinks. Doesn't care. Shambi, definitely. Rosillo. Like, if that's the angle you want to go. A letter of recommendation from Rosillo to Le Batard, not going to get it done.
And I got to make you feel better here. I know Stugotz, and I still don't think Dan likes me. So
thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. No bigger fan of the segment, or of me, by the way, than Mike. He got cut off mid-sentence, because, Mike, you said, I like doing this segment with Adnan because you can talk movies, baseball, Canada, and even hockey, and those are segments that we do not. And then somebody said I smell pizza. So I want you to finish what the sentence was that you were going to say. We got waylaid by pizza.
That was Poppy.
I did, yeah. Poppy, very excited for pizza.
What were you going to say? I don't even remember.
Well, I was just going to say that a lot of those things don't normally get run on our air. They're not the things that always move the needle, quote unquote, but we get to play with all the toys that Dan won't let you play with. I'd like to think I'm an avenue for you to do some things you wouldn't get to do otherwise. Wink, nod.
Yep.
And Adnan's part of
it. By the way, one Dan question before we get rolling, Stugotz, I have to ask this because we mentioned Rosillo. Rosillo said Le Batard is the kind of guy who will text you and demand a response, but if you text him, it's 60-40. He will not get back to you. Is that true or false?
He won't. Well, yeah, it's true. He won't demand a response, but I guess in my case, you feel the need to respond. But yes, when you send him a text, it's not, for me, it's not a matter, Mike, you would agree with this, right, Mike Ryan? He'll get back to you. There's 100% chance that he'll get back to you. It's just a question of when he gets back to you. It could be, within a minute, and it could be within a month. It sometimes could be 3-4 months later. You just never know with Dan, but he will get back to you.
Hang on a second. So his texting etiquette is porous.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think it's totally fair. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
Just wanted to clear that up.
Listen, next time Golic and I are doing a show, we'll turn it around. You'll be our guest, but you can ask me any questions you have about Dan and anyone on the staff, okay?
Oh, trust me, I have hundreds. I can't wait for this to happen. Let's book this next month.
I can't promise I'll answer honestly. Let's go to we got a ton of calls here, Adnan. People love this segment. Let's go out to Mitchell. Mitchell, go ahead. You're on with Adnan Virk.
I want to know Barry Bonds wasn't in the Hall of Fame, and the fact that he's not means that he was doing steroids when he was playing baseball. Correct or no?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've read, the Jeff Perlman book. I've read Game of Shadows. There's an avalanche of information that explains how Bonds was using the cream and the clear, and exactly at what point he was. And after he saw McGuire and Sosa and all the adulation that they received during the '98 season, he said, you know what, I can do exactly what those guys are doing if I was using the stuff that they're using. And once he bulked up, he started hitting all those home runs. But listen, I believe Barry Bonds is one of the 5 greatest hitters of all time. I think even without steroids, he would have been headed to the Hall of Fame. I think he's an ingrate. I get the fact that he's arrogant and widely disliked by everyone, and that, he's the kind of guy, what they would say about A.J. Pierzynski, that opponents hated him and teammates hated him a little bit less. Having said that, he was a superstar player and a remarkable player. And I look back, some of those numbers, fellas, like it's a 2002 World Series. Like he'd get one pitch to hit and he would mash it. Like it was, his on base was like 640, he's slugging 900. Like those numbers were video game numbers. So I didn't care for the guy personally, but his numbers were extraordinary. And we're seeing the shift now with the so-called steroid guys. I think eventually Bonds will get in.
Here's what I need from you, because and I don't want to be demanding because you know how much I love you and we love this segment. There are so many people calling in that we need you to, just shorten these answers, okay?
No problem. I love when Le Batard does that to McGill. Like he chastises him. He's like, all right, let's go quicker, please, Ron. Next.
Yes.
Don't worry. I take direction well. Let's do it.
But I was being nicer. So
let's start now.
Start right now, okay? Otherwise, it won't be so nice the next time. Let's go out to let's go to Mike. Mike, go ahead.
Hey, Adnan. Is Rush the greatest Canadian band of all time?
People mention Rush all the time. I will go with the band, of course. I love Scorsese and The Last Waltz and Robbie Robertson, and one of the other guys is Canadian. So 2 of the 4 are Canadian, so I'll go with them. I will say the band is the best of all time, not Rush.
That's how you do it. Let's go to Mark. Mark, you're on with Adnan Virk. Go ahead.
Adnan, best Samuel Jackson quote, choose 1 out of 2.
All right, let's go to.
I'll give you the best Sam Jackson quote, and I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger. Of course, the quote from Pulp Fiction when he's quoting Ezekiel 25:17.
You are good, man. 786-456-4837. Let's go out to. Let's go to Corey. Corey, go ahead. You're on with Adnan.
Yeah, hey, Adnan. Love the podcast. Cinephile's great. Love this segment. I know how much you love Scorsese, so my question for you is, who's the Martin Scorsese of the sports world?
Oh, jeez. No, there is no Scorsese because Scorsese is this titan among all. But, wow, I guess I'd have to say like an amalgamation. I will cheat and say that, if you combined Neil Everett's energy and Scott Van Pelt's wit and Steve Levy's presence and Max Bredas's charisma and everybody else's likability, that you finally achieve one Scorsese. But he's such a genius, I don't think you can find just one in the sports world. By the way, I'm taking it as a sports broadcaster, but if you're saying sports world, why don't I say Federer? Because I love Federer so much, and I bored Stugotz and Mike Golic Jr. on their weekend show of my love for Federer. So fine, Scorsese, Federer, done.
I can't get enough of your love for Federer. I love Federer as well. So does Mike Ryan. We all love Federer in the studio. Let's go out to let's go to Kern. Kern, go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, Adnan? I just wanted to know what the worst absolute movie you have seen in the last 2 years is.
Worst movie last 2 years, Adnan.
I watched Get Hard with Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell. Didn't pay money for it. Was on HBO. Had Kevin Hart on the podcast, so I figured it was research. kind of start watching these movies, I felt like Mike Ryan when he had 12 hours in the cage. It was an experience I don't want to replicate. It was awful.
What movie should win Best Picture this year?
You know, it should be Manchester by the Sea, although I do find it funny the backlash against it. I've had some tweets of people saying it should be called Moping by the Sea or Melancholy by the Sea. It's just a bunch of sad white people in this wintry homeland lamenting their fate. But I thought it was an incredible movie. I love the script by Kenneth Lonergan. I thought Casey Affleck knocked it out of the park. I thought it took a story of grief and tragedy and also had unexpected humor in there. I think that was the best picture of the movies nominated. Of course, in my Scorsese bias, I thought Silence was the best movie of the year, but that got snubbed. It's only nominated for cinematography. So of the movies up, I think Manchester by the Sea is brilliant, but it's going to be La La Land. You could bet the house on that.
Daniel, go ahead. You're on with Adnan Virk.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering if you think the Mets, if all five guys stay together and healthy, if you think we're going to be serious contenders this year.
I think so. I'm picking the Nationals in the East right now, but I think the Mets are a really good team. But the problem is exactly what you said, if all five guys stay healthy. There was a time where they kept saying they've got all these arms, they can flip Wheeler, they can go get a bat. But then ultimately life happens, which is Matt Harvey gets delayed by surgery, then puts on weight, and then he's ineffective. And Syndergaard's incredible, and DeGrom's great, but all of a sudden all these aces now only becomes two aces. And Matt's is good, but he's not very durable. So I think the Mets are just never going to have all those horses operating at peak efficiency. That's why I think at best they're a wild card team.
Cameron, go ahead. You're on with Adnan Virk.
What is the greatest Canadian movie that you've seen?
Adam McGoyan is a great Canadian director. If you look up The Sweet Hereafter, that got some pub down south. It was nominated for Oscars. Ian Holm is in it. It's a terrible tragedy what happens with a school bus accident, how this family and the entire community reacts. Exotica is a film that was really good, also by McGoyan. But the highest grossing Canadian movie of all time is Porky's, if you can believe it. So if you want a big blockbuster from Canada, Porky's, way back in the mid-'80s. And that title indicates all they need to know about that film.
Such a good movie. I like this next question here. Interested in your response. Let's go out to Phil. Phil, go ahead. You're on with Adnan.
Hey, Adnan. It's Phil. Love the show, podcast, everything. Question for you is, with the Coen brothers signing on to do the Scarface reboot, is it going to be a blockbuster or bust?
Yeah, great question. Here's the trick, because I read this carefully, because I was thinking, what's the Coen brothers' involvement? And it says they're doing a polish. So what that means is somebody else has already taken a crack at Oliver Stone's script and updating it. The Coen brothers are doing a polish. To me, that's just like a light dusting. Like, I'm not sure how heavily involved they're going to be, and they're certainly not directing it. Antoine Fuqua, the director from Training Day and the updated Magnificent Seven, was attached to the project, is now no longer the director. So I think it's going to be a bust, especially because the Coen brothers aren't as heavily involved as I think they need to be for the movie to be a success. I mean, the original is such a classic, guys. Obviously, you've talked about it on your show so much with Miami and all the attachments to it. It's funny. The only option I think they'd have if they wanted to update it, and De Palma talked about this in his documentary De Palma last year, is if you put hip-hop music in it. If you put Jay-Z and Nas and all those artists and you put that music in there, that would be like an updated, rebooted Scarface. That, I think, might be kind of interesting rather than actually remaking the entire movie.
And then I know you have kids, too, so you get out to a lot of these. Best animated feature for this year. Who do you think is going to win and who should?
I think it's going to be Zootopia, which was a lot of fun. I love Jason Bateman. He's that great smart aleck in the movie, and I thought it was clever animation. It was fun. It was sweet. I didn't think, though, Mike, it was as good as like an Inside Out from years past or Up, to me, is a great animated movie. I really like Moana, though, and we don't have daughters in our home. We have sons, so maybe they'd be surprising people. We liked a movie that was very sweet involving a female heroine. But I thought Moana had great music, of course, from Lin-Manuel Miranda. But I think it's going to be Zootopia. But next year, it's going to be Batman Lego Movie. That movie is awesome. No matter what age you are, Will Arnett, one of the best Batmans of all time. That movie's great.
All right, plug Adnan. I'm telling you, you crushed it. Every line is lit up. People want to talk to you. I could do this all day. Promote the podcast before you get out of here.
Yeah, it's Cinephile. Make CINEPHILE. Go to iTunes. Go to the ESPN app. And unfortunately, like Mike Ryan said, we're using up my one appearance now. Go to Oscar.com. The night of the Oscars, you're going to watch Jimmy Kimmel. He's going to be great. But if you go to Oscar.com, me and Ben Lyons are going to be on the red carpet. We're going to be on the Oscar stage during the actual broadcast, giving breakdowns from best live action short to best documentary to best foreign film. We're going to have it all covered. So the next time we talk, I'll have stories from Tinseltown, and maybe I'll have stories about, Ryan Gosling and hanging out with Emma Stone. Who knows?
You are big time. Next year, my only request is ditch that Lions character and bring me, okay?
Me and Stugotz as my +1. Consider it done.
Done. We're done. See you next year at the Oscars.
You're listening to the sweaty Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Upside. Now save big on travel and get a big gift card every trip you buy. You'll love Upside.com. Upside.com.
Dan Le Batard.
It's Friday. I'm getting into the weekend. I want to get my drink on.
Stugotz.
We've got to open up the club. Open it. Open it. Open it. Now. What is the computer buffering? There it is.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
It's the most decorated documentary of the year, winning over 45 awards, including the Directors Guild of America, the Producers Guild of America, and 4 Critics' Choice Documentary Awards for Best Documentary Feature. Critics have declared it a triumph, a landmark achievement, the #1 documentary of the year, and now it's an Academy Award nominee. OJ, Made in America, available in its entirety on the ESPN app and on Watch ESPN.
All right, our thanks to Mike Golic Jr. for sitting in for Le Batard today. We appreciate it, sir. Hope you're feeling okay.
Surprisingly okay.
Okay.
I feel more a part of the show than ever now.
If you're just joining us, Mike consumed, within 90 minutes, by the way, with some peer pressure from his father, he consumed a bottle of A1 steak sauce in 90 minutes. And he's fine. Had a couple of pieces of pizza right after, which I think probably helped, right?
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Like I said, the acid reflux became a factor
right.
for a majority of the day. Did not think for a while I was going to make it out, but you're right. Dad came on, gave me that shot of life that I needed.
Yeah. He bullied you, is what he did.
Full on. I was bullied by Mike Ryan before the show. I was bullied by my dad during the show. Lord knows who's going to take a shot at me after the show.
You should take some shots after the show. Real shots.
That'll
You're in
probably
Miami
happen.
for the weekend for the Charlie Weiss Golf Invitational, right? Is it an invitational? Just a charity golf tournament.
Charity golf tournament.
Why did I make it an invitational? I have no idea.
Not sure. It's a pro-am now?
Yeah. Our thanks to Adnan Virk, Dominique Wilkins, Gojo's dad, and Amin Al-Hassan for joining us on the show. We close out the show every week with the club, sounds from the past week. Mike, let's close out the week. Open up the club. Golic, this is your favorite segment, right?
Oh, yeah, it's right up there.
Yeah, I think it's his favorite segment. You told me once it was your favorite segment.
Absolutely.
All right, we have 2 minutes for the club. Let's get to the club. Who's first to the club? Was that me hissing? Oh, okay. That's the hissing cockroach.
Oh.
You don't want that in the club. Who else is in the club, Mike?
He just exists. That's what he does.
Allison in the club. Can I hear that again, please?
He just exists. That's what he does.
That is Allison talking about how much she hates me.
He just exists. That's what he does.
I love Allison.
Yeah, you love her. Yeah, she loves you so much. She never comes when you're here. Who's next in the club, Mike?
People so much dumber than me.
Oh, God, condescending Pablo Torre.
People so much dumber than me.
Oh, my God, arrogant, condescending Pablo Torre.
People so much dumber than me.
Gazing down from Mount Pablo.
Gazing
People
down.
so much dumber than me.
This is the type of person that Mike Golic Jr. beats up in clubs.
People so much dumber than me.
Pablo Torre was that kid whose phone I smashed.
Who else is in the club, Mike?
I smell pizza.
Bobby.
I smell pizza.
Yeah, Bobby.
Oh, CC.
We love the Chattahoochee River. Part of my reservation call to canoe in Atlanta. I brought the Webbs and the Concacs on Valentine's Day.
Big boy.
I usually bring Terry Pendleton, who won an MVP. Probably shouldn't have won the MVP that year, but he won it anyway. Who else is in the club, Mike? Oh, that was the wind. Who was the guest? That was the wind. Oh, that was James White.
That was the wind.
James White was not nearly as good as this. The Wind was better as a guest than James White. Who's last in the club, Mike? Close it out.
We are the Golic.
Hope you enjoyed the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
The Golic.
The 2017 NBA All-Star Game. DeRozan, Kyrie, and LeBron lead the Eastern Stars into New Orleans.
Butler throws it down with two hands. Wow. Kyrie Irving. James splits a double, drives and throws it home.
To face the West, led by Kawhi, Durant, and Curry.
James Harden stirring it up. Durant throws it down. Nothing but net. Steph Curry.
Coverage begins Sunday at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Scott Burnside, ESPN.com here on the latest edition of Hockey Today, the podcast. We catch up with breaking news in Montreal with a coaching change there, and hear from Pat Maroon of the Edmonton Oilers and Jason Chimera of the New York Islanders.
The NBA All-Star Game this Sunday.
Here's Curry behind the back, half-court heave on its way, and he hits it!
Coverage begins Sunday at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.